Well, I was a part of the first 50cc riders at the time back in '73 when I started, and that was a couple of years after Ola won his first world title in '71. So Speedway just sort of became more known, and was so much because of that. It was more because of one of my older brothers, friend. Those the two they're riding in a nearby club, Aalborg, sort of half an hour's drive away. And I went a couple of times just to watch my brother kill ride, and didn't think too much about it. It was okay, but then his friend then started the club in Bros, where I come from, and only a couple of kilometers from where I live. Starting off with the small track, which was new then. I think it was only probably one or two tracks around the country that started the year before. Silkeborg was one of them, and then we started in Bros. So I thought, well, we'll have a go. I had an old moped I was riding in the old gravel pit close by, and thought, well, we'll have a go on Speedway and see what it's like. And yeah, I got hooked straight away. And my other brother also started on the 50cc, so we were riding together. There was about five of us there, just having fun and messing around. And the first year, and it went off from there and got a bit more organized the following year. Got a sort of more like a proper built speedway bike on a 50c still, Yamaha. And so I did okay a couple of years, actually 3 years on the 50cc. I won a couple of meetings, but nothing big. I did ride in the championship, but never really won it. Tommy Knudsen actually won one of them, and so it was okay, but I didn't really have the best equipment. I didn't really have the money to buy all the Kreitlers was the big ones at the time, and but it was a good learning experience. Learned to slide the bike a bit, and although it was only 50cc at the time, now it's 85cc. The track was smaller than the first track. There was only like 130 meters, whereas the ones we're using now is 200 meters. So that's why they went one step up to use the 85cc's to get a bit more power to get the broadside going. But even then, as I say, 50cc was okay on the 130 meters. Still got it sliding a bit and got the feel of it, and I got hooked on it. And so it's really, after that, it was the next step was when I turned 16 was to go into the 500s.
And that process and the way you learn obviously paid dividends, because you look at the domination of Denmark through that era, and whether it was the gating or the racing skill, the craft, whatever it was, that stuff that you'd probably learn as a youngster with those names that you mentioned that you were, coming through with, growing up with, nobody could hold a candle to the Danish team then. So that starts with that youth development, though. So it was obviously a system that worked well.
Absolutely, and quite soon, after the first year started, I think there's probably another 8 or 10 clubs starting around the country, and certainly, yes, just starting early, turning left, and compared to other guys around the world, probably started 15, 18, 20 years old. So obviously, we did have a big advantage at the time, but also obviously growing up in that environment, with the speedway, just got hooked on it, and the friendship and stuff. So yes, certainly, I think by the time we came to England, we had certainly an advantage on a lot of the other guys, and the fact that there was like a group of us doing really well together, and of course wanted to be the best Dane along the way as well, if possible. So that got things going as well. But of course, the last many years, all the countries has caught up and also have the either 85 or 125 four-stroke or 140, whatever. Now, 190 as well in this GP4. So I guess they squared up to us now, and Australia's been running it for many years, and they've obviously produced many talents there as well. So yes, but at least we got the jump at the time.
So you mentioned there it was only 16 when you got on a 500cc bike. 17 years old, though, so not long. You make the move over to the UK. Big decision for someone to come over to a strange country, and on top of that as well, you ride at Wolverhampton. Now, talking about the length of tracks you were learning on, did you find that Wolverhampton, being a fairly tight, people call it a technical track, did you find that was something fairly easy to master fairly easily, or was it something you had to learn something different when you came here?
Well, obviously the first year I rode in Denmark, that we did ride in the league, but it was like the Danish third division, the lowest of the lowest. We had to start somewhere, with the club just having started in Roust. And the tracks then was very much made up of this white chalk kind of thing, and there was a bit of black shale and stuff as well, and there wasn't that much grip on it. The size was actually similar to the Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton was slightly smaller, but ours was about 300 meters, most of them anyway. So the size wasn't so much different, but it was more the grip, the dirt, the English shale with the clay in was really, really grippy, and a lot more of it. So when I first came over, and after having ridden 1 year on these slick tracks in Denmark, and having done quite well for my club, as I say, that was third division. So I was coming from the lowest of the lowest in Denmark to the best division in England. Obviously, at the time we weren't allowed to ride in the second best division, so we had to go straight into the top league. So that was a huge difference. So when I first came over in March, with the one bike, with the four valve wish leg I just had the year before, and towards the end of the year, in my first year when I was 16, I actually won the junior championship on it.
And it was quite a quick rise, really, and you spent a few years at Wolverhampton, but then you're getting onto the world scene, you're riding in the European Under-21 final, you got into the World Pairs with Ollie Olsen, of course, who was the first world champion from Denmark as well, and all the focus was on him, and all of a sudden you go from someone who's an inspiration to riding alongside that person as well.
Yeah, it was, as I say, it was a shock to come over and line up next to Ivan Mady and Olsen and so on, and obviously to know that he had no chance of beating them, but after a couple of years, got in there and mixed with them, and as you say, actually we've had the World Team Cup in '78, 2 years later, or the following year in Landshut, where we're now back in the Grand Prix again.
Yeah.
Where we won for the first time. That was the first time we qualified. Denmark qualified for the World Team Cup, and then to go down there and win it, and being top scorer for me, just dropping 1 point, was my big breakthrough international as well. And of course, as you say, in the following year, in '79, we won the best pairs in Voyens, home ground, also for the first time, and together with Olle, who obviously had been a big inspiration to me. The fact that he's been been the best in the world, and when you're a little kid trying to learn to ride Speedway, you look at these guys like Ivan Mady and Olle Olsen, and try to copy them a little bit, and that's where you sort of, I guess, get your style and stuff from, and then to actually come and go over there and compete against them was a really big thing.